Hello and welcome to a special presentation from In the Money Media, an emergency podcast coming to you from the Breeders' Cup PTF, back with you alongside Michael Adolphson. And the reason we were going to talk anyway today, and we'll probably have another show where we do the regularly scheduled programming, talking about the impact of the post position draw on some of these races. But right now, all anybody wants to talk about is the big news that I've heard it characterized two different ways with Sovereignty. Somebody told me he had a fever. Somebody told me he had a raised temperature. I know in humans those are two different things. Are they two different things in horses, Michael?
I mean, the main thing that people have to worry about is it puts everything in doubt. Not just doubt, but it's very rare that we come back from the idea of a raised temperature, of any kind of fever, of whatever it is. I think it actually is a raised temperature, is what they said. And the tests are pending. Now, it's very rare. There are two ways to look at it. He's being very forthcoming, which means that, he wants to get ahead of the ball, ahead of the communication process on this. And he's been very blunt about that, which is great. It does leave, he said that does leave some wiggle room of like, it could be next to nothing and the horse is absolutely fine. Tests come back fine. Pardon me. And then we're golden, but it doesn't look good. Anybody who's experienced in racing knows that as soon as you hear it, it's any sign of smoke, there's fire. And we're just hoping that's not the case at this point as optimists.
The old axiom I've always heard when it's fever is, a week of walking the shed row for every day with a fever. It's like it's not usually, oh, it's nothing, let's bounce back. But then I've also heard people, like Simon Bray on the broadcast this morning was talking about the idea of like a shipping fever, something that's, not even really that you measure it and it registers, but it doesn't really have an effect. It goes away rather quickly. I guess we're going to know really soon. But I mean, my God, that would obviously, in terms of looking at this year's Classic, be just a complete and total game changer. Let me ask you some very tough questions. When do you think we'll know definitively if Sovereignty will run or not? We were using the pronoun before, he referring to Bill Mott. When will he make that decision? And then I'm going to ask you the even more impossible one. How do you handicap the chances? Is it 50-50? Is it less? Is it
more? I mean, I would imagine, he said in an interview that they're going to evaluate everything multiple times per day, every day, which is a nice way of saying that they're balls deep and basically like trying to figure out what to do at this point, and get as much information as possible. Now, when that's the case, you're, like I said, you're optimistic that maybe they're just covering all their bases and making sure the horse is okay. Maybe this is just absolutely nothing. It's just, and he was really adamant about the details of how the horse was doing, what he was doing. He was eating, he was alert, everything was fine. It's just one thing they saw they need to look at. And if he didn't disclose that and it came about as a buzz thing around the racetrack, then that's just bad show, bad play. So I think they're doing the right thing. So hopefully, like I said, as optimists, he comes back and he's fine, and how do we look at it? This is from a playing standpoint. I mean, from a racing fan standpoint, you want the horse to run.
Oh my God.
From somebody who's playing a different horse, I want the horse to run. Like, that's
half the market will be on him should he go. Yeah. Close to it. David Aragona made him 6-5 on the morning line. I think that's probably exactly right. I mean, that's a tremendous part of, completely changes the race. Even
it's going to ruin. For example, I don't see myself coming off of Forever Young unless he looks terrible in his blowout tomorrow, right? And I am going to. Right now, you're going to get between 6 and 10 to 1 on him, which is where I feel is fair, considering what he's going up against and how he ran in the Dubai World Cup. Now, I think you'll barely get more than 9-2, or you'd be lucky to get more than 4-1 if Sovereignty comes out. Like
you basically have it.
Yeah, but I'll still take it. But still, I want that extra.
Well,
I'll still take 9-2.
You dodged one part of my question before about Sovereignty. What give me just your odds line on if he runs in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic?
As someone who's been going to the racetrack since 1986, 6. I can tell you that whenever you hear the words fever or temperature, you've got about a 50 to 1 chance of the horse running.
Oh my
You know
God.
what I mean? So, I mean,
You're not optimistic. You're not
I'm not
optimistic.
optimistic, but the one thing that does give me a little bit of, you know, optimism or confidence is that he's covered all his bases, Matt has, and he's really like been completely, he's been completely straightforward about everything, and he's been very detailed about everything is in these interviews. So and this is only in the last hour and a half. So, this is good news so far as that goes, but history tells me that odds are slim, especially when you have a horse owned by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed and Godolphin. And if he does come back as a 4-year-old, they just put a line through this, put a circle around it for next year, and immediately put a circle around the Dubai World Cup.
Michael, great stuff. Appreciate having you here. We're going to have more from you today on the audio side. Make sure you subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. That helps us out. You won't miss any of these type of updates. Also, subscribe to the In the Money Players podcast, wherever you get your pods. And get ready. Michael's going to be back with us for our final answer show, live streaming on Wednesday. Appreciate you coming on, my man, and we'll talk more in a minute.
All right, let's do it.